And yeah, Alex starts pulling the thing apart and putting the. You just take. Do you need the whole ballista, or should I just take the operable pieces?
The operable pieces, the firing pin, ammunition.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's easy. Then Alex starts putting all of his spellcasting equipment in the bag of holding, and stops thinking, if I put a non-dimensional space in here, will that cause problems?
You call that out.
Yeah.
They confer, and then call back with some trepidation. Like what?
You know, standard bag.
Oh no!
The one that's working the raft winch calls out, "Do not place the bag of holding into the hole. Empty the bag of holding's contents onto the deck and place any weapons into the hole."
Alex will do that, but it'll take a few minutes.
They have all day.
Okay. Alex also has to drop like 16 Smith's tools and whatnot. His guns, his swords.
Good thing we
fun.
dumped that lich hand.
It's fun when I lay out like an old first edition trap and then Destil just sidesteps it entirely. That's always fun for me.
Well, that was fresh in his mind because of the Magic the Gathering joke.
Oh, I didn't see the joke. Oh well.
Remember when I was like, don't explain it, just leave it as is?
Is anyone trying to conceal anything that would be construed as a weapon?
No.
57 days? No.
Okay.
Technically, I might be able to use the bag of holding as a spellcasting item, but I can't, so...
Okay.
That's as close. Like, Alex will keep it on him, and if there's another Artificer, they might think, hey, he could pull any of his spells out of that, but he can't right now, so... Not intentionally.
Okay.
If you just turn it inside out, they'll know it's empty.
If I turn it inside out, we're going to be here all day.
He turns it inside out.
9 days.
The entire boat just fills up with Cheetos.
The boat sinks under the weight.
You had Cheetos this whole time and you didn't tell us?
They winch the raft with the hole in it back towards their vessel. And you see him pulling the raft inside. And then a second boat is sent out. One of the upside-down gnome calls out, says, "Will you be abandoning your vessel or anchoring it?"
Anything to anchor it to.
Did we put an anchor on this?
I mean, you could row it. You could
Yeah, we
pull
can
it over
lash
to
it to theirs or whatever, if
one of
that's
their-
what they mean by anchoring it. Yeah, we'll do that.
Do you want to lash it to theirs?
If that's what they mean. I mean, are they... Because I don't... I'll ask, like, what do you mean by anchoring it? Like, should we just... Because if their
Remember
ship keeps moving and we actually drop an anchor...
This ocean is peppered with these giant, like rock
Oh, sure.
spiders and things.
Yeah, yeah.
So when you call out, you can lash it to their vessel, but is yours submersible?
No.
No.
Then they wouldn't recommend that.
I mean, it submerses in air pretty good, but okay. So Alex will start the process of pulling down the sail and putting everything underneath here. That'll take a little while, and then we can hammer some pittons into one of these insect things, and we'll come back and find all the insects on it.
It'll only be the second time you've had to fight insect swarms on a boat. So over the course of the next hour or so,
a lot.
you pull over to what you surmise to be a reasonably strong insect-filled stalagmite. Hammer some spikes into it, attach some rope, tie the vessel off so it doesn't drift away. And when that's
Or use a
done,
chain.
the other vessel sends over a small pull boat. And it's gnome size, so they're going to have to make probably 2 trips for all of you. But 2 gnomes pulling it across. And as they come into the light of your ship, you can see that they're wearing pretty ornate-looking armor. They're both wearing scale mail, but the scales are overlaid in alternating colors, giving them a checky effect in purple and white. And each one is also wearing a half helm that has the look of a squid to it. They pull the boat over. One of the gnomes steps aboard, looking around the lot of you. Pulls a small bag off of the pull boat. Says, "We brought you some provisions Do you have any wounded or dead?
Think just tired. Maybe.
More
Well, I mean, we're
exhausted
beaten up,
than
but we're not.
anything.
Nothing that needs to be tended immediately.
So what tongues have you? Only the undercommon?
I speak Undercommon and Deep Speech, and obviously Gnomish. Steely here understands all those. I don't know about my. I don't think my companions speak anything useful, and I'll.
Dwarvish and Elvish.
The one looks at the other, and they try a few tongues. They try out Gnomish, and the second one that the second gnome tries is common. But he speaks it like somebody who understands it intellectually. Obviously not a fluent speaker. Inside the provision bag that they brought are kind of a stack of what looks like dry, hard pancakes. Big wafers. They tell you that they're not flavorful, but they'll fill your bellies. They also have a decanter of clear water and 4 swirling, very colorful looking potions that they hand out. So everybody but Lucius gets one. You'll be wanting these first.
Can I make like an Arcana check to figure out what it is?
While Lucius can. Lucius, you can make this check at advantage.
Oh, well, wait. Shit. I'm still exhausted. I'm sorry. Well,
Okay. Alex, do you ask what it is?
No. Alex will just drink it.
Okay.
It was like if he could figure it out, he would have thought about it before he drank it. But if he doesn't have any idea, he'll just drink it.
Yeah, Connor wastes no time in just chugging this potion, as if though it's the first good thing he's drunk in forever.
And it's not. It's just tastes disgusting, and it has a very kind of viscous, slimy feel to it as it goes down your throat. Like you have to make effort to swallow this down, like you're swallowing like a big glob of snot. However, it does return to you your lost memories.
We like realized that we were missing something and now it's back.
You didn't realize you were missing anything until you drank this potion, and now it's back.
Gus stands up and says, "What the heck?"
Oh.
Okay.
Oh.
Oh, no, you were. I mean, it is more useful for everyone, Lucius, but it's also correct. Good job. And then Alex is gonna take one of these pancakes, put a little honey on it, and start eating because he has not had a full meal.
You put Connor just watches him put honey on it like
A little. He dips it in honey and then he dips it in the mayonnaise.
No, he doesn't put mayonnaise on it, but he does pull the instant coffee bean from
then
the spaceship and make a tankard of that for himself as well.
He sprinkles the
And-
coffee beans.
an interesting form of interrogation, I would assume.
I do not appreciate it. I feel violated.
They tell you that
Thank you for the pancakes.
They tell you that the captain wouldn't have made contact without knowing who you were or what you're about. He's also not particularly pleased that you so effortlessly destroyed the psionic probes.
that was you guys. Oh.
Are they efforts to
Right.
rebuild? I can help with it if it's anything magical. I know it's probably all psionics, but Alex bites his tongue to not say psionic bullshit.
The 2 gnomes tell you that don't worry about that for the moment. Just worry about filling your bellies, having some clear water.
Yeah.
If there's no wounded or dead to tend to, they don't need to make any other effort on that account. They tell you that your belongings have been inventoried for safekeeping until they can ascertain what sort of threat you are, if any.
Is there any way you guys? Do you have any way to pass a message along to the surface, maybe through Deep Merksif? I don't know, like what your session. You know, we've been down here a little bit longer than I think we intended to be, and we need to let some people know we're not, dead.
They say there might be time for that in the coming days. But they don't sound very enthusiastic about it. Make an insight check, Gus.
All right. Well, I was gonna roll the second die, but that's a 1.
A 1, okay.
So that's insight. That's a 0.
Okay. So the wafer you're eating is just it's tasteless, it crumbles in your mouth. It's not unpleasant, but adding some honey or mustard to it.
Mayonnaise.
Mayonnaise or
Just give me the mayonnaise.
little Tabasco maybe.
I mean, you can make oil and vinegar. You can make salad dressing.
Gus is a mayonnaise kind of guy, or he was.
And while you guys are eating your wafers, they do ask a couple more pointed questions. They want to know who among you is the captain of the vessel.
Democracy.
We don't.
Lost at sea, huh?
We don't set much store in hierarchy.
Yeah, 57 days. We were not expecting there to be an ocean down here.
To be fair, democracy worked much better when there were an odd number of us.
Gus,
What?
you say you were not expecting to be an ocean down here. And the two of them, well, one translates for the other because the one doesn't speak common. The one that doesn't speak common kind of looks, it bristles at the remark. But they don't say anything about it. They just wait for you politely to finish eating.
Like, did I say something to offend you, sir?
He says, think nothing of it. Please,
I mean,
finish the meal.
If I said something, I would like to apologize. It wasn't intentional. And I would like to know what I said wrong so I don't repeat it.
Whatever you said that was wrong, they're not in any mind to discuss it right now.
Okay.
They can take Alex and one other person or one person alone back to the vessel. So they're going to take multiple trips back.
I can jump on Scrappy and levitate him and just
I have
follow
some
behind
magic
you.
that I can use that would allow us to move freely through the air. Save time.
I mean,
You just
we're not
need
in a
to
hurry.
you just need to direct us where to go, and we'll go.
We're not really in a hurry, Lucius.
And if that's it, then Alex will just. And if they don't, you say like, okay, let's do that. Alex will just jump in the boat. Does Steely come with Alex? Was that part of it? Or is he his own trip?
He's medium, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, he would have to either come with you or go alone.
Yeah, Alex and Steely will take the first trip then.
Okay. As they're taking Steely across with you, they do but they can both speak to you. They both speak Undercommon.
Yeah.
But they do ask you some questions about the combat capabilities of this defender.
Mm-hmm.
They want to know whether you built it yourself or took it off of someone.
Yeah, I'll answer all of them honestly. You haven't seen another one that looks kind of like this, but a little bit more honey badgerish. Maybe, I don't know, 50 days ago.
We fished one up.
yeah,
There was a drowned goddamn imp just clinging to the top of it.
If they
Mostly
have,
constructed of chains from like a big chain from a ship.
listen to me, Brick Road. Do you understand that to me as a player, how happy it would make me if we found Scrappy? Scrappy has been with us from the beginning,
You
and
do not find Scrappy.
that's not acceptable. Ohana means nobody gets left behind.
The length of time you've been with Scrappy does not increase the chances you fish him out of an entire ocean.
I got it, Gus. When we're done with this adventure, we're gonna go to Caitlin's hub and we're gonna have her cast Find the Path.
They tell you that to ensure the protection of the crew, they would like you to escort. I mean, they use the creature's name if you tell it to them.
Yeah, and it's actually he's got a different name in Deep Speech that Alex actually uses for a change.
Oh, do tell.
Oh, I didn't come up with it for Steely. I had it for Scrappy.
Okay.
It's deep known for, but in Deep Speech, the name it translates to replacement.
Okay. Yeah, they have a holding area that they want you to escort Steely to while you are meeting with the captain.
Sure, and Steely doesn't get tired or anything, so I'll just tell him to lay here and wait.
Okay. So you guys watch.
And I'll pull the wand off of him. I could probably use this to cast spells. Sorry, I forgot. It kind of goes with him.
It can stay with him for now.
Okay.
So you guys watch as they pull the boat back across to the giant shell. And Alex, they open this. There's this purple membrane, and it has like a low hum to it as you approach it. And one of the gnomes pulls out a wand of his own, and when he touches it, it has this bright, piercing light. And when he touches it to the purple membrane, it splits open. And as he climbs in, his body rotates as though he's standing sideways. And then the one behind you ushers you and Steely forward.
Okay. Alex will just, I guess, jump or climb or whatever.
The first, he just climbed over, like he's just accustomed to this gravity transition.
Alex will give it a try.
And it feels weird because you're not accustomed to it yourself, but it's not difficult either.
Okay.
And once you're inside the shell, like your mind just reorients itself. So when you look back out through the split to your boat, it looks more like the boat is just floating sideways on a wall of water.
Mm-hmm.
And then the boat comes back, and are we just making everybody trip over one after the other?
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Then I have to get a new map.
As he watches the gnomes start to suddenly go sideways, Connor takes a deep breath and just stares and looks around very suspiciously. This seems like Fae bullshit to me.
It seems like Underdark bullshit to me.
How does that happen?
Oh my god, we're on the big whale.
So the inside of the Nautilus shell, it's a large, gnomish, large for gnomes, but it's a gnomish vessel. The hallways and the rooms and the ceilings are lower than the rest of you are accustomed to. Rather than being like 10, 12 feet high, they're probably only about 6 feet. None of you are taller than that, are you?
No.
Okay.
Gus probably needs to take his helmet off.
So you're brought in through this large kind of loading area, and the biggest part of this area is the entirety of the opening of the shell, some of which is below the water line. So each time they split open the membrane and bring one of you in, some amount of water does leak in, and instead of pulling up at the bottom, it kind of flows into these rivulets that are carved into the ground, because the gravity in the place is pulling you towards the inside of the shell. So if you look above you, on the other side of the opening, you can see the 3 gnomes that you'd originally talked to. And at one area of the shell, at this northern opening, you see where there's this large, wide staircase that leads up a couple of steps. And after you're all inside and the membrane is closed, one of them gives a call back in Undercommon to those steps. Another gnome standing there calls back in Undercommon. Alex, you can understand they're just shouting orders to rotate and submerge.
I'll translate that for my companions.
You don't feel the rotation of the vessel under your feet at all, but you do hear it, the water sloshing around outside of you. And there is some level of transparency to the membrane looking through it in this direction. And you can see the water line outside rotating. And your own boat.
I would have taken the lights off of the boat and put them in the bag before we left, so.
Okay, fair enough.
I wonder
Best
how
not to leave those out there.
I wonder how this vessel would fare in the Contra Aerosphere shell. How hard do you think it would be to launch this into up there?
So, Alex, you're escorted up these stairs into this Y-shaped hallway here. Once you get up the stairs, there's no longer like a weird gravity effect on the ceiling above you. Now everything is oriented properly under your feet. Although you realize as you're going with them, you don't really know what way you're oriented in relation to the world outside anymore. The ship could be in any orientation at this point. But you're taken down this hallway, and this is where they split off from your companions. Your companions are going to be taken up along the hallway to room number 10. You're going to be taking down this spiral stairs.
Sure.
Okay.
Like, are we separate? Like, are we together and then they're taking him off separately, or are they taking him that way while they're ferrying us in one at a time?
That's up to you. They don't want to take the risk. They tell you they don't want to take the risk that Steely is dangerous. So there's a room down below in one of their holds where they can hold Steely safely until they can make sure that you're not a threat.
Oh, so they're just taking him off to the side to get to put Steely in a cage.
Right. Whether
Okay.
you want to escort Alex this far as a group, the rest of you they're going to take into this back room to meet with the ship's captain.
Yeah, okay.
Okay?
I'm gonna stick with Alex if that's permissible.
It is not.
Well, fine.
Is that how you say
I'll
it?
be fine, Lucius. Don't worry. I've got Steely with me.
No, you don't.
I'll have him on the way down.
Alex.
Look, if they're going to stab us all in the back, we'd probably already be dead.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Unless they're like Illith is in disguise trying to eat our brains or something. I don't know.
Alex, you're taking down the stairs into
Mhm.
a smaller area, and you can't see what's in these two rooms. There's large
Yeah.
metal doors, and each one has the same kind of coloration and adornment. Whoever these people are, their sigil is that of a purple and white squid.
Do they have light? If I'm seeing colors.
There's a kind of ambient
Okay.
illumination around the place. And yeah, they escort you back into this room here.
Mhm.
And they don't go inside with you, but they instruct you to take Scrappy in.
Sure. Yeah. Going
And
with
it's-
Scrappy.
Once you're in, you hear the metal door slam behind you, and you're now locked in this room.
What else is in the room?
It looks like it might have been like a cargo hold. You
Uh-huh.
do see some empty box or two strewn about. It looks like, till very recently, this room was storage area for something, but it's been moved. Probably in anticipation of bringing you and your metal badger aboard.
I mean, Alex will probably fruitlessly knock on the door.
Very politely, hello?
Yeah.
Hey, and there's a gnome on the other side, Undercommon.
Hello?
And he just tells you, sorry about this, captain's orders. And then you hear a second one nearby just kind of chuckling to himself when he says that.
No, oh well. Alex is gonna curl up next to Scrappy and fall asleep.
Fair enough.
There's no chance Alex is even gonna worry about anything right now. Does he still have all the stuff aside from the stuff I put in the portable hole?
Anything you didn't put into the raft, you still have on you. Your
Okay.
bag.
Yeah. So all the stuff in my bag except my
Yeah.
weapons. Got it. Okay.
The rest of you are taken into this room here.
Excuse me.
And it's a long, thin room, almost a hallway itself. But as you come to the top of the stairs in here, you can see another purple membrane covering almost the entirety of the ceiling over your head. Again, kind of a transparent feature. And looking up through it, you can see the surface of the water. And the ship is now moving in some direction. Difficult to tell whether you're moving, the water over the membrane is moving towards you or away from you. And the ship is also slowly rotating as it moves. Sitting in the room are a couple more of these gnomes wearing scale mail. Most of them aren't equipped with weapons, but you do see a rack of harpoons along one of the walls in this chamber. At the front of the room, in a large chair, in front of what looks to be this, just covered in this bizarre mechanisms and controls. You've seen a kind of cruder version of this in Stonkmeyer's vessel, but this is a much more elaborate version of the same thing. These are the mechanisms by which the rest of the device is controlled. The gnome that sits there is very old and has very brightly colored red and purple hair. dyed in streaks along the sides of his head and down his mutton chops. But his chin is smooth. And he has a very large hat. A kind of mean-looking squid sitting amongst a mass of tentacles. He barks a command over to one of his underlings, and his underling goes over to this bronze pipe kind of set into the side of the control panel. And he opens up a covering on it, calls something down in Undercommon. And Alex, in your room, you hear from somewhere, just echoing through some wall around you.
Mm-hmm.
Are we locked in there?
Well, yeah.
And you hear the voice very clearly, and you respond to it. And you also hear the guard on the outside of the room respond, "Yep, he's secure. The defender, too."
No. Before we begin, I must respectfully, while I do appreciate your hospitality thus far, I do take umbrage at you imprisoning one of our compatriots.
What language are you saying this in?
Common.
He
Do you
responds in
understand?
Common. And he says that he takes umbrage of you speaking the soft tongue aboard his vessel, and also speaking without his leave. If you'd like to be returned to your boat, say the word.
Lucius just makes a very awful face, but says nothing further.
As for my hospitality, you haven't had any of it yet. I haven't decided how much of it you deserve. Let's start with introductions, shall we? He introduces himself as Gnome, King in Exile. And you stand aboard his flagship, the Widdershins.
Lucius gives a courtly bow.
Do any amongst you speak a more civil tongue, or is Common all you have?
Gus speaks Common, Dwarvish,
Let's-
and Elvish.
Unless he speaks Infernal.
Is there another language you guys all have in common? All three of you? His preference is to speak with you in Dwarvish or Elvish.
Well, since he's the boss here, that he sets the fucking terms, I guess.
I mean, it depends on whether you guys want to go through the trouble of translating for each other. If not, he'll speak in common and just remind you how much he despises it.
I mean, he's going to be a jerk either way, right? So, whatever. Common's fine.
Okay?
What languages does Connor speak, by the way?
Connor speaks Common, Draconic, Infernal, Sylvan, and Telepathy. Telepathy is listed under languages for some reason. I did not put that there.
That's pretty dumb. Okay. So he goes through introductions, and speaking in common. You have Numac with you, right? You didn't leave him on the boat?
Yep. Yeah, no, he came with us.
Okay, let's actually load in a Numac then. Just in
Numac.
case you guys start attacking all my gnomes who did nothing wrong.
So, where are the harpoons on the wall? Just for reference?
As you come up the stairs, they're over by Lucius, off to his left as he comes in the room. There's a rack of harpoons. Each one is just latched into the wall, just in case his men have to grab them very quickly. You don't see any conventional weapons, though. None of them wearing swords or hammers or axes, anything like that. You also haven't seen any artillery yet, but you also haven't seen any part of the ship except for this one long hallway and the stairs leading up into the bridge. Captain Gruitdome asks, more to the brass tube than anything, who his people are in Deep Merksif.
Alex will sit up, go figure out where the sound is coming from, go over towards it. Well, my father's been the ambassador to Dunfoss for my entire life.
Dunfoss is a soft land kingdom,
Yeah.
and he just makes a very disapproving noise. Would anyone?
And Alex also lists out 2 colleges he attended in Deep Merksif.
Okay. So there are people in Deep Merksif who would know the name Flintraker.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
All right. Tell me, True. How much of a ransom should we ask?
Oh God, he'd pay you to keep me.
It's not your father in the Softlands. The people in Deep Merksif, respectable gnomes.
I mean, I think I currently owe them 14,000, or did that all go to the elf?
Is this in common?
Yeah, he'll
I mean,
he's speaking in common.
Alex isn't speaking whatever language he's addressed in.
Yeah, the captain is addressing in common because it would be rude otherwise.
Gus pipes up. No, the king currently has all of our debts, Alex.
What king is this? The one that you killed?
Clarification: we have killed 0 kings.
My men said he saw the bones.
We have the bones. We did not kill the king.
Are you
We have-
robbers then?
Oh.
Investigators.
Yeah. The
Can I hear all of this over the?
You can hear
intercom?
all of this through the tube.
Okay. Actually, no. I mean, grave robbing specifically is something we try and avoid. It's just in this case because of extreme magical specialness, sonic specialness.
Yeah, there was a ghost ship.
Well,
and
we'll be returning them to a respectful place once we're done.
Also, there's like more than one set of the same bones.
The
Weird.
captain sits back in his tall chair, reaches up with both hands, and worries at his mutton chops. He straightens and curls them around his fingers. You Softlanders come down here to the Underdark seeking adventure and glory, thinking it's monsters to slay. You bite off
Nothing
more
of the
than you
sort.
can chew and then realize there's no road home. And now I learn you're not even worth anything to me.
Professor Merksy would probably give you about, I don't know, 200 gold?
200 gold isn't worth the time it would take to sail to Deep Merksif.
Yeah, Merksy isn't paid very well.
What skills have you? He asks the lot of you.
I'm a fighter. I fight things.
What have you
I'm a
slain?
hunter. I hunt things.
What
have
have
you
we
hunted?
slain? A ghost ship?
Did we really slay that? I don't think we really
mean-
slayed it.
We caused it to melt and drill a hole down in the Underdark, and then we were hunting it, right? So technically, you're hunting it. You're in the process of hunting it.
All of my companions are, including myself, are excellent combatants. Several of us are very experienced in magical knowledge and overworld travel, though mostly overworld, softland travel, so I don't know that that's much good for you.
One of them says to the captain, one of the gnomes that escorted you guys from the opening, says to the captain in Undercommon, says, they say they've been at sea for well over a month, and none of them have sustained injuries or died. The captain seems to consider that. This is alright. So you're skilled enough to want to try your hand at the Underdark, but not so skilled to know better than to come here.
Well, people were dying, and we had to do something.
Your people.
Yes.
And then Gus will explain the hole and how it was like the psychic, and he'll use like air quotes with psychic. He'll use psychic emanations were causing people to throw themselves into the swirling abyss. And, you know, nobody else is really equipped to deal with it except us.
And now you find that you're not as equipped as you thought.
Well, you know,
Let's get an insight check from everybody standing in the room.
I still have 4 levels of exhaustion.
So everybody but Alex.
I just get so fucking like.
Man, this stinks. I'm so good at it. It's like
That's a
2.
one.
Damn.
Why can't people be nice to us for a change instead of just telling us we're shit every freaking?
That is an 11.
That's a 1.
A 1?
we're one bros, McDohl.
Be nice to us for once. It makes me feel like I'm garbage.
As far as this captain knows, I mean, you have to look at it from his perspective.
No, I 100% understand that, Brick Road.
It's entirely possible you are garbage. He doesn't know you.
It's,
I don't think you're garbage.
I mean, thank you, Treble. That's very kind of you to say.
The captain has a quick discussion with one of his underlings, which, Alex, you understand in Undercommon. They're kind of just going over where they can put you guys up for the time being. The captain then asks, he's kind of putting the pieces of your story together. So your Softland kingdom came under attack from this psionic entity and bore a hole into your ocean.
And it's emptying out into these lands, yes.
Yes, we've noticed. He tells you that the Widdershins is a river vessel. That deep below us are plains, villages, farmland. You're kind of over the edge of the foothills of a mountain range, and it's all being flooded terribly. The Widdershins has come out this distance out to the hinterlands here to try to ascertain the cause of it.
Oh.
So your oceans are opening down into one of their mountain ranges and flooding out over their plains.
We weren't expecting it either. To be fair, the part of the Underdark I'm familiar with has roads.
And he expects,
I thought we'd land in a lake and sail someplace we could walk.
he expects that there probably still are roads down there somewhere. Game trails, maybe. Paths through the foothills.
There's an awful lot of water.
So it sounds like we both want the same thing.
He gives his underlings some instructions to go make rooms ready for all of you. And I'm assured that there's no chance of ransom.
If you tried to give us back, they'd probably charge you.
My father certainly would.
Well, Gus, to be clear, Gus, you're not worth anything to anybody. The only people that care about your well-being are in this boat already.
He's got 12 students.
I've got students.
Who are going to pay what kind of ransom for you?
I'm just saying that the people that are interested in our worth would probably charge them.
It's like, maybe we should introduce him to Caitlin Chubb.
I feel like Gus turns to Lucius and he whispers, I feel like the universe is conspiring to keep us as poor as possible, as if there is some omniscient being who made that his stated goal at the start of our life.
That's preposterous.
The captain engages you guys in about another hour's worth of just discussion. He wants to learn more. You get the sense that you've solved the mystery for him. And now he's showing more interest in these soft lands you're from. He wants to know who rules in this kingdom that you're from, how many have died, what was the nature of the attack on your city. Are you guys leaving any information out?
No.
You're bringing him up to speed?
Yeah, no, Lucius feels pretty forthcoming. Yeah.
Yeah.
True, it might just be the exhaustion talking, but
You don't think he's Fey. It could just be the exhaustion, but I don't think he's Fey.
yeah, think we're okay. There's weird tidings going on, but
he tells you that the Widdershins currently took on no passengers because they're on this emergency voyage that started out down one of a badly flooding river until they found themselves in deeper and deeper water, and the water level is just continuing to rise. Because they're not taking on any passengers for the moment, they do have some quarters being made ready for you. There's 3 rooms. You guys can split them up however you want. He calls down the brass tube for Alex to be released and brought back up, but for the defender to remain.
So this is a river vessel? Was it a freshwater river or a saltwater river?
Fresh.
Where did those fishmen come from then?
He tells you that the rivers are pockmarked with holes and caverns and hiding places that open up into deeper and deeper oceans. It's not like in the Softlands where the ocean is a border that you travel to over land. Down
Yeah, you
here,
have to-
the ocean can be underneath or even above you in places.
You have to think a little more three-dimensionally.
So, which is why his vessel is, he motions over to the rack of harpoons, has some armaments on it. I don't know if they have to fight those off, but they're coming out in force now because of this flooding, and they seem to thrive in the salt water as well as the fresh water.
Yeah, they're not very friendly. They stole Connor's mace.
For what it's worth, as long as we're passengers aboard your ship, we'd be willing to fight in its defense or with whatever services you might need that we can provide.
I understand that we hauled over a whole raft of your war goods.
Only because the raft had non-dimensional space in it. Otherwise, you would have need multiple.
He kind of looks at Lucius for a moment, and his face kind of scrunches up into this serious look, which is ridiculous because he's wearing a huge squid hat and his whole face is dyed.
Yeah, this whole situation is really absurd.
This is very well. I'll hold you to that. Let's hope it doesn't come to it.
Agreed.
He tells one of his underlings to see you to quarters. And there's these 3 gnome-sized rooms, these 3 passenger chambers, very well furnished. I mean, you have nice, soft feather beds and cushions, and each one has a mechanism in the corner that causes cold water to flow into a basin, which then drains out after you're done with it.
And a bidet.
I mean, you're going to have to make do, man. Even if they did, it's a gnome-sized bidet, so...
Ah, that's where they get you.
Connor, taking the middle room. Yours has a double feather bed, large enough for 2 gnomes.
How many beds are in this room?
We have bedrolls.
The center room is the largest, and there's a small bed in each other one. So Alex is quite comfortable. Alex, you would describe this room as luxurious. Actually.
Okay.
And along the side of each of the rooms, there is a kind of large cloth curtain, again checked purple and white, that is pulled down and then has a pull string that is lashed around a brass knob sticking out of the wall. The rooms are warm, and I mean, they're cramped for you human people. I like how the gnome took a room for himself, and then all the humans, like...
I don't know why I didn't come up with this. I'll ask when we're being led to the room if there's a way to lower the lights to sleep.
And they show you how to do it, and there's no actual mechanism. They just kind of... And you get the feeling that they have some pride in explaining this.
Oh,
they
yeah.
just explain how you just kind of think about the room becoming darker, and it will dim.
Alex will immediately sit down cross-legged on the bed, put both of his hands on his temples, and start thinking about darkness. I'm gonna close my eyes, Gus. Tell me if it's working.
And yeah, Gus, as he does, the room does dim, and it will continue to dim until the light's completely gone, or at any level in between you that you need.
So Gus puts his finger on his temples and starts thinking brightness.
Then it's going to be a contested intelligence check.
17.
6.
And it's just
Did
like...
you take disadvantage? Okay, you did.
It's just like a... I mean, imagine that Alex reaches out to pull
Oh wait,
a
no
lever.
wait, I got disadvantage. Sorry.
It would have been a 20-something with without disadvantage.
Oh, okay, that's a 3. He wins.
Okay, so it's like, Gus, it's like pulling out and reaching, you look for a lever and pulling it. But as you do, Alex grasps the other side of it, yanks it his direction instead. That's how it feels with your mind as the room goes dim. If you don't instruct them not to disturb you, they come back in about an hour with some food for you. Some food and some hot mulled wine. It's seafood, but it doesn't look like it was caught from this ocean. And it's very well prepared, and again, very luxurious, very rich. Like, you're not the kind of food you'd be expecting aboard a vessel like this. Who's lived in Dunfoss the longest here?
That would probably be.
Lucius
Would that
or
be
Alex?
Lucius or Alex? Yeah.
Yeah, Lucius. Probably.
I mean, Alex did what, one of his 2 degrees in Dunfoss, but only like the last year of it, so probably Lucius.
So, Lucius, I mean, it kind of dawns on you, not only because you were raised and lived a long time in Dunfoss, but you also have background in Kiska, where these kind of vessels are more prominent. This is a pleasure barge of some kind. This is like these rooms you would pay to come aboard, and be primped and pampered for the duration of your stay. So you imagine the other rooms aboard this vessel are just as luxurious, but everything is sized for gnomes and gnomes alone. So unless anybody has anything else, go ahead and take the benefits of the long rest.
So
Hell yeah.
during the long rest, Gus is going to ask. So the guy's name is Gruadome, correct?
Groot Dome.
Gruadome. Okay,
Gruadome.
so I'm just never going to say that right.
Sure.
Gruadome, he called himself a king in exile,
Yes,
Alex.
he did.
Does Steve Merksid have a king that was exiled?
Should I do a history, or do I know that?
If you've lived in Deep Merksif, it
Yeah,
has
I mean-
a king. The king has not been exiled. No.
Yeah, the king is the descendant of William the Bald.
William the Bald, who fought against
Yeah.
the Illithids all those years ago.
So is
No,
there,
I don't know of any exiled kings. I could have missed one. I haven't been there, and I mean, from everything I've heard from reports back home, nothing like that has happened in my lifetime.
how many deep gnome kingdoms are there?
Dozens. I mean, even just the ones that we're in contact with. Deep Merksiv is just the closest to the surface.
So go ahead and spend your hit dice, and then regain half of your hit dice, and everybody can reduce their level of exhaustion by 1.
Yeah, I have level 1 exhaustion.
And I mean, they come by to collect any soiled clothes that he'd laundered. There's no shortage of wine. And after the first night or so, after your first stay, you're not even confined to your rooms. You're told to kind of stay out of the way of the crew, if at all possible, and you're told that for the time being, you're not going to be given back your equipment or given access to your defender, but the rest of the vessel is open to you, such as it is.
Ooh, I do need my alchemy tools to prepare spells. Could I get that? Could I get part of my lab back at least, my portable lab, or
Make a,
Are they gonna include
make a
that?
persuasion check.
sure, add exhaustion
Mm-hmm.
with my -3, I believe, charisma. No, only -2. So that's actually an 11.
An 11?
Yeah.
What do you tell them you need the alchemy kit for?
Just to go through my normal synthesizing catalysts in case you have any need of us in combat for magics, mostly healing.
I mean, they give you they kind of grill you about what sort of magics you're preparing.
I mean, I'll just list my spells. It's cure wounds, protection from poison, heat metal. I can leave some of the more offensive stuff off, but spell magic.
Are you able to use this magic without access to these tools?
No, I just need to make the catalyst. I wouldn't even be able to use them if you take this set away from me after the end of the night.
So what you're allowed to do then is they allow you below decks.
Mm-hmm.
You tell them what you need from your equipment, and they've set aside a space for you in this storage room in this bottom level.
Okay.
Where you can prepare whatever you
I can
need.
prep my spells, but I won't be able to cast them unless I actually get to my field alchemy kit again.
Correct.
Yeah.
And, I mean, Lucius, you just get yours because you have a devil in your head.
Yeah. It's convenient that way.
So yeah, other than
Lucius doesn't sleep.
other than the beds being a little cramped, they're very comfortable. And you kind of want for nothing. I mean, if you ask for food, it's brought to you. If you ask for wine or water, it's brought to you. They change your clothes out. Basically anything you need to make sure that you're comfortable for the next couple of days. But after the first day, after the first long rest, you're instructed that you're not being confined to quarters. You can go where you like on the ship, but try not to disturb the crew beyond what is necessary. Go ahead and everybody can make an individual insight check. Lucius, you can make this at advantage.
That's still at disadvantage. Okay.
It's still a disadvantage for me. I think so.
It's a 7.
That's actually a plus. That's a +0 for wins. Wow.
4. Oh wait, no wait.
Yeah.
That's a 10 on
8
Alex.
18 for Connor.
Connor's at an
The
18.
advantage counteracts it. That's right. 12.
So Lucius and Connor, assuming you're not going to disturb the crew about this, you do kind of put it together over the course of the first day that you're underway inside the Widdershins, is that it is a passenger barge. It's kind of a pleasure barge. And it goes up and down one of these rivers. And it's only in this state of emergency that they're out here trying to figure out what's causing the rivers to rise so much. So the captain and the crew, they're not military. It's not a military vessel at all. And they're all way out of their depth. Which is a little ironic, I guess. So they're most comfortable when they're making you comfortable. And they're least comfortable as this captain is trying to figure out how best to use this vessel. What this tells you, though, is that he must have received orders from somebody. He's not just acting under his own volition.
I feel like we've met the inverse of Flumph Inc. in the Underdark.
Maybe a little bit, yeah.
I mean, at the beginning of the campaign, you guys chose detective agency. You could have chose pleasure barge.
We could have, yeah.
You could have. That would have been incredible.
One of my in-person gaming groups has been threatening to run a game where we're on a boat, and we go up and down the river, and the adventure comes to us, and we're in for years.
That sounds like a great campaign.
Because I ran a mini adventure that was kind of the hook, and everyone was like, "We need to turn this into a campaign."
I've done that as an adventure before too. Just kind of floating down the river and see what comes. So you can kind of look at it this way. This is the campaign these guys have been playing, and then suddenly the river overflowed and began turning into an ocean, and now the ocean is above even the hillside and the mountain peaks.
And then we came along.
And then they drop detectives out of the sky on you.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I mean,
Sorry.
aside from the obvious preferring of we do have investigation and we do our investigation work and such, and we would be willing to serve in that capacity if that's what this king in exile is all about.
Who are you telling this to? The captain?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, he tells you that the first step is he's going to make course back in the direction you guys traveled. He wants to see the base of this hole for himself if he can find it.
Yeah. Like, how visible was the hole to us when we hit the water?
It wasn't. You
It
guys
wasn't?
floated down a long time, and then the cave got wider and wider and wider away from you.
Do they have? Go ahead.
Can we try and triangulate based on how strong the rains are falling?
He's hoping you can, yes, but that's going to depend on how well you guys can navigate your own ship, which wasn't very well.
Which we don't know that we were able to navigate down here.
Well,
very
no,
well.
so my thought is we surface, we set up a small collection vessel, we see how much rain falls into it in 5 minutes, we travel several miles in another direction and see if the amount that collects in 5 minutes gets more or less. And do 3 of those, and we can triangulate which direction the water's falling the fastest.
That would have been a great idea on like the 10th day after you landed.
We didn't have the ability to actually keep course well enough for us to do that.
Correct.
Yeah.
So what are you guys doing during this first day? We'll assume that you had these conversations with the captain. Alex has gone below decks to prepare his alchemical spells. Is anybody still damaged at this point?
No, Lucius looks a lot better now.
Okay.
I've got all my hit die, got all of my spells, got all of my HP.
You know, aside from that 3 levels of exhaustion, I'm pretty good.
All right.
Only 1 level of exhaustion. I could get into a fight right now and I'd be fine.
All right. Roll initiative.
Okay.
Now let's go ahead and take a 15-minute break here.
Yep.
Go ahead, get your coffee, get your bagel.
Yep.
And when we come back, we will start. You can start exploring the Widdershins.